5 years ago this week, Governor Tony Evers declared the Safer at Home order for the state of Wisconsin as leaders started shutting down the world during the pandemic. But today, some infected with COVID are still battling complications. WMTV's Mackenzie Davis talked to a Sun Prairie woman who, 3 years later, is overcoming the lingering effects of the illness.
Like everyone had their 2 weeks of quarantine and they got better.
Shannon Jones got sick with COVID-19 in the spring of 2022.
I'm still complaining about all these symptoms and I still don't feel good.
Those symptoms included shortness of breath, fatigue, and brain fog.
I wasn't getting better.
The first grade teacher at Westside Elementary in Sun Prairie says once it started to affect her work, she knew she had to go to the emergency room. Jones was diagnosed with long COVID, which the Centers for Disease Control defines as a chronic condition that occurs after you're infected with COVID-19 and is present for at least 3 months. From being a young and active woman to not even being able to walk a lap around the gym, Jones realized it was worse than she thought.
We just really felt for her.
Sharon Carl is Shannon's clinical exercise physiologist at SSM Health in Madison.
We were trying to figure out what we could do to help her feel better.
Carl says Jones was her first long COVID patient.
We didn't have the tools, to specifically deal with her condition, but we used our background in dealing with all the other pulmonary conditions to kind of work our way to see what we could help and achieve with her.
Making significant strides at SSM Health's cardiac and pulmonary rehab clinic.
That was huge. Yeah. That was a big deal.
And now, 3 years later, rehab has improved Jones's breathing issues.
I am now at the point where I can teach full time.
But the brain fog and fatigue linger. Jones says to be your own best advocate.
If you know inside your body that something isn't right, you just need to keep hitting it until you get an answer, till you figure out what's wrong and what you can do better.
Reporting in Madison, Mackenzie Davis, WMTV 15 News.
Now, according to the CDC, 18 million Americans reported having long COVID in 2022, with adults from 35 to 49 years old being most likely to suffer from the illness. The health department continues to track COVID levels, but instead of the individual test results, they're now tracking wastewater. Here's where things stand now. Levels are very low in Baraboo and Portage. They're low in Janesville, Lodi, Madison, Monroe, Oregon, and Watertown, and they're moderate in Mauston. This is compared to all data using the current lab method.